so bad that it's good. A pretty common phrase that implies something very relevant to the media of today. It's not necessarily the technical quality of the product that makes it enjoyable. It's the experience of the consumer that matters. But quality still has to matter to some extent though, right? I mean, if graphic quality doesn't matter, why does this make you feel a certain way? Personally, when I see this, I get curious. Is this quality indicative of so bad that it's good? Or is it just bad? What's the deal with Troublemaker? Raise your gang. Troublemaker is a small, story-based beat-em-up indie game all the way from Indonesia, developed by Gamecom Team, a studio of like a dozen people or so. It's easiest to compare it to Yakuza, having a very righteous main character haunted by his past and primarily solving problems with his fists. There are some very distinct differences though, namely the setting is a senior high school. Or like an Indonesian version? Text is in English though. Mostly? For some reason? Like just write that then, I wouldn't understand it anyways, it's fine. Before I really get into the game, I of course highly recommend you check the game out on your own, even if you're just mildly interested. I mean, who knows, you might just be pleasantly surprised. And also, spoilers. And while you're here, I guess subscribe to... The game starts off with our unnamed main character who seems very popular with the locals. Oh, no wait, that's his name. Booty, short form Bud, is an ice-cold delinquent known as a one-man army. And in the game's opening sequence, we get to see how alpha he really is. This guy's crazy. Booty may be alpha, but the authorities are... So his mom has to bail him out of trouble. Apparently this is a very common song and dance, one that not Booty's mom nor Booty actually enjoy. Lucky for Booty though, his mom is dating a guy in the next city over, so Booty has a chance to change his ways and breeze through his last year without any trouble. He makes a promise to his mom and enrolls at Chudnow. But, as it turns out, this isn't a normal school. I'm not talking about the graffiti. Strength is everything here at Chudnow. If you can fight, you can rule. And it's all because of the Raise Your Gang tournament, an annual tournament in the year 12 classes, where the winning class is given money to help them support themselves until they get jobs on their own after graduation. Yes, really. We actually get to know the backstory of how the tournament was created, and just pay attention here, you'll need it. Many years ago, the old students of the school were upset since they were promised jobs but couldn't get any after they graduated. They literally rioted and demanded the school help, so the school tried to gather donations from the students. Yes, the students. Lo and behold, that shit didn't work, but it actually doesn't matter, because all that the graduates wanted was for the next generation to be better taken care of. In order to make that happen, the school made a tournament in actual subjects that made sense, like math and Olympics and whatnot. But some guy on the student council suggested a martial tournament, where they literally just fight. And then the school decided to let the students themselves vote for what tournament they wanted. Lo and behold, the 15 to 18 or something like that years old students want to fistfight. What the f? A major point of the tournament is for violence to be common on the school ground itself, but there has to be more intuitive ways to achieve this. Ones that don't include, the literal headmasters encouraging physical harm? Well, whatever. Booty, fresh off his promise, wants nothing to do with the tournament, of course, and instead gets to know the rest of the main cast. Bobby, a weak loser, Ronnie, an influencer, and Zainal, the strongest guy in their class. Until Booty over here shows up. But Booty isn't gonna get his wish. There's gonna have to be some game to this game after all. So, after a relatively poorly handled inciting incident, he declares war on the corrupt student council and their leader Rico. He now has to fight his way through the tournament in order to stop their reign of terror. And then the mid-game happens, where we just kind of fight a bunch of guys. With hilarious antics, such as... Guy shits. Guy is a weeb. What the f? And then comes the late game, where the story actually picks up a bit in my opinion. A little. Booty wins the tournament, because duh, and his class sets up a party, complete with smuggled alcohol and everything. Here, the gang gets a chance to sit down and have some real talk, and this was actually kinda nice. We got to know a lot about their backstories, and quite honestly, it made me appreciate the cast a ton more. I just wish we got this sooner. The game is at like the start of its third act, but better late than never, I guess. Alright, let's see. A few things happen. Rico commits an actual crime, Booty gets beat up, we play as Ronnie and Zainal, and Bobby is doing the others' homework. Yes, really. Booty also comes to a realization. He accepts that fighting is his thing and that he doesn't want to run from it anymore. If he didn't fight for the right thing, he would never have met Bobby and his new friends, despite the pain it might have cost him. Hey, I like that. With his newfound resolve, Booty ends the war with the student council once and for all, and the gang can now live in peace for the rest of their high school days. And that's basically the story. The relevant parts, at least. Anything I didn't mention that is in the game made the story worse, believe me. It's nothing fantastic for sure, but I honestly don't mind the last act that much. In one phrase, I'd like to call the story a bit top-heavy. There's a lot more interesting parts of the story the later you go. It's like they did their best given the weird tournament and predictable start of the story. But hey, the story is only one half of the game. We're of course gonna have to talk about the... According to many others, the combat is incredibly reminiscent of Sifu. I haven't actually played it, so I can't say for sure, but I mean you have heavies, lights, dodges, and reaction-based parries, so it's probably similar to a lot of beat-em-ups. What I find interesting though, is that, in my opinion, the combat does not at all look like how it feels. Let me try to explain. The AI is stupidly predictable. A few hours in, I had a pattern down that could beat literally every single enemy in the game. It's all about knockdowns, because the second white bar the enemies have doesn't actually indicate shit. It's supposedly their stamina, and once you deplete that, you get to break their guard and knock them down, but it seems to be hard-coded that after a few consecutive heavy attacks in a row, Booty always does this back kick thing that guaranteed knocks down and gives you free damage. So the entire enemy stamina thing literally just isn't real. Dodging wasn't that important either. You could parry from all directions and enemies almost always attacked one at a time, so positioning just wasn't a thing either. Light attacks were also useless. I only used them to interrupt enemies doing slow attacks, but you can't really combo lights in any meaningful manner, making them feel completely obsolete. For some reason you've got your own stamina too. Everything you do costs energy, even parrying, and that just doesn't feel good. There was this moment early on where I cancelled my heavies into successful parries twice in a row, but since it cost stamina to parry, I missed my counter window, which was insanely unsatisfying. Other than that, it just felt kind of arbitrary, like the game would be too easy without it. You also have these sick moves that essentially serve as heap moves, and they're strong. On top of the damage, some of them knock down and stuff, but most importantly, they all have full iframes, making them really abusable. It might sound like I'm deliberately trying to cheese the game, by the way, but I really wasn't. This is just the way I ended up playing it, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed it. It was nice and fun to chain knockdowns using sick moves and whatever else. Combat did get somewhat repetitive though, and it was all very easy too, even on hard. But hey, maybe I'm just top 8 percentile Troublemaker material, who knows? Right, so the combat was fine, but what about the rest of the game? Well, truth be told, 90% of the gameplay is the combat. You can run around on school grounds in some chapters, but all you can really do is go to a shop and play some minigames. The minigames are incredibly simple, only took a minute or so each, but the available minigames did change from chapter to chapter, which was actually kinda nice. I think it's right about here that I realized that this game is pretty unambitious actually. Not saying they have to make GTA 6 or anything, but a side quest or two would have done wonders for my immersion at large, something that the dialogue did not do. Ooh, the dialogue. Let me preface all of this by reminding you that the game is Indonesian. It's possible that the translation itself had something to do with the writing. So what's wrong with the writing then? Well... It's so cringe. This shit is constant, by the way. STFU instead of just shut up. Weird anime shit like, oh, your face got red suddenly, and... Fellas, is it gay to ask for a name? Like, come on, man. And all of this is without even mentioning what some of the sick moves are. Like, bro. Cringe is honestly the only way I can describe this shit. It's draining and unfunny, and I think I sum up why I find that to be a problem best when I was actually recording. Like, I'm not gonna take you seriously if you keep writing the game like this. Stick to your game. There's a reason people don't write games like this. It doesn't connect. Dude, I'm out of the experience completely. I'm sitting in my room right now. I'm not a young guy in an Indonesian senior high school anymore. So, yeah. Let's just say the writing was never gonna get me invested in the setting. It's childish, weeby, and cringe. The worst part of writing like this is that it feels like the writers don't have faith in their own product. It's like they're so desperate to keep the player's attention that they literally put the most attention-grabbing part of internet culture in their game. Memes. And it really sucks. If this is what I was after, I'd scroll reels or some shit. If there's one thing I want these devs to do, it's to leave this kind of writing behind for good. People don't write their games, movies, anything like this, and it's for good reason. Another elephant in the room is the graphics, because let's be completely honest here, they suck. Most UI elements, aside from that non-existent text box, look nice to be honest, but that's actually the only good visual part of the game. I doubt I have to explain myself. Sadly, it's not even a charming level of bad, it's just unreal grossness. The audio mixing was terrible.
Gak mau dan gak bakal pernah mau.
The music wasn't that bad though. A little rough, also a little cringe, but still fun for the most part. It did its job. The Truth is actually a really fun track, despite the vocals being grammatically incorrect and whatever else. Alright, so here's the deal. Despite how largely unambitious the game is, I think there's a lot to be said about it, but I'll try to keep my thoughts brief. So is the game actually good? Well, nah, not really. It's decent, not an all-around painful experience, but certainly not perfect. It was, though, in my eyes, enjoyable. Not for the quality itself, but for the palpable amount of heart that was put into the game. It's incredibly clear that the devs had a fantastic time working on this game, and if nothing else, I'm happy for that. The sequel is already in the works even. It looks like it's gonna introduce a whole nother group of friends and continue with this game left off, so it could be really good. I'm hopeful at least. So bad that it's good. You can enjoy things, even if they are objectively bad, but in this case, I don't think the quote applies. Just because something is unambitious doesn't mean it can't be a magnum opus, and that's because effort makes entertainment, not quality. I'd give Troublemaker OST 6 out of 10, but if we've learned anything today, it's that score is irrelevant as long as you have a good time. Consider me a fan. Can't wait for the next one. See you in Troublemaker 2, everybody! This was actually supposed to be a YIIK video. I don't know where I got this from, but I thought for sure YIIK IV would release like late spring, early summer. That would have given me more than enough time to make the video during the summer, but that's not looking very likely now. The thing is that after the summer I'm gonna get really busy for a while, so I don't think I'm gonna have much time over to make content. So this might be it for a while. Rest assured though, I'll make that video one of these days, or something else before that. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I should start streaming. I know damn well I wouldn't have watched it, but it's lower effort than videos, that's for sure. But whatever. Hope you enjoyed watching. As always, you the real ones, for real, and yeah, no. Until we meet again. Bye bye.